Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my new client onboarding process. I'm talking about the process after the clients have agreed to work with you, how you go about getting the contract signed, invoicing, getting paid, and also how you can get all the information you need to complete the project from your client. This is the process that I'm talking about. I'm going to show you guys how I do it. This is by no means the best way of doing it out there. I know that a lot of you guys have different ways of doing this, and some people will also disagree with the way I do it, and that's fine. I'm going to show you guys how I do this. Maybe you can learn one or two things. And I will also appreciate if you guys can let me know how you go about the client onboarding process in your web design business. If you can let me know in the comment section below if you already have a way of doing this. Let me know in the comment section below. Maybe I can learn one or two things, you never know. But let's go ahead and get started so I can show you guys how I do this, the tools that I use, the softwares that I use, and why I use them. I have 5 simple steps that I follow every time I'm going through a new client onboarding process. So I'm going to list all the steps for you guys, and then we're going to go through each step one after the other. So my first step is contract. Second one is invoicing, and then the third one is collecting client information. And then the fourth step is setting objectives and expectations. And then the final step is the welcome email that I usually send out to all my clients. So now that we have all these 5 steps, let's go ahead and get started with the number 1 step. So the number 1 step is contract. This is very important. This is why it's my number 1. I know some people will maybe do invoicing first, but I like to do the contract first before I go to invoicing, because contract is very important. I know you want to get paid and all that, you want to get your money as fast as possible, you want to jump to that invoice and get that money. That's fine, but you need to make sure that you have a contract. It doesn't matter the client you're working with, it doesn't matter if it's a friend, a relative, or a family member. As long as there is kind of agreement and they have to pay you for the job, always make sure that you have a contract. It can be a hard copy or maybe electronic copy. As long as both of you will be able to sign the contract, you'll sign and be like, okay, this is the agreement, you sign here, and then your client also signed that you guys had that agreement. Then that's all you need. As long as you have that, then you can move forward to the next step, which is invoicing. But before we move to the next step, I'll show you guys the tools that I used to use and the software that I'm currently using. So right here is the tool that I use. This is the Agile project management software. This software is very powerful because this will allow you to do pretty much anything that you can think of about your client, about your project, everything in one place. Before I started using Agile project management, I used to use fresh proposals, which is this one right here. This is what I used to use to send client contract. The pricing is not that bad, but I don't use this anymore because you can do everything right inside this software right here. So the reason why I like to use Agile project management system is because it will help you to keep everything in one place instead of jumping around from one software to another. You create contract here, you create an invoice here. Because when I used to use fresh proposal and then I have to go to web accounting to send my invoicing, or I'll just use like another invoicing software. But right now you can do everything right inside here. Everything is all together, everything is in one place. Your customer can sign the contract right inside this app. You also have a client portal that you can send to your customer, and then your client will use that to log into this app. Everything is going to happen inside this app. And then if you are hiring a developer as well or someone else to work on the project, you can also give them access to work right inside the app as well. Let me jump right in and show you guys how this software actually works. And right now as I'm recording this video, if you see over here, you can see that this software is actually available on AppSumo on a lifetime deal. So you can come here and grab this deal right now. If you click on the pricing option right here, you can see right here you get the same features. The only difference between these prices right here, the single, double, and multiple, is the number of automation that you get and number of email clients that you get. You can also stack up the code right here. They have up to 10 codes that you can stack up to get more features. You can get up to 50 automations, 10 email clients, 20 pipelines, unlimited team members, 1000 gig storage, and white labeling as well. Right now I just purchased the single one just to show you guys how this software works. I used to use the subscription from their actual website before they come on AppSumo. So this is the one I used to use. Let's say when you're watching this video, this deal is no longer available. You can come here and sign up as well, because this is the one I'm currently using. Here is their pricing. You can see that this is really affordable. If you compare the price to what I used to pay with Fresh Proposal, you can see the price difference right here. So for Fresh Proposal, and the only thing I'm doing right here is to send proposal like contract and stuff like that, and then I'm paying $18 a month. But if you come back here and look at their pricing, you can see for $7 a month, you can do a whole lot. You can send proposals, you can send contracts, you can do all these stuffs. Don't worry about the 1 gig storage, because you have option to use your own storage inside the app. And also they also have a free version that you can always use. Right here they have a free version which is completely free that you can use. That free version is also really good as well. And then if you're a small business or a freelancer that is still getting started, for $7 a month when you are working with clients, I think it's a pretty good deal. And then you can get everything done inside the app as well. And then once you finish the project, you don't have any project going on and you don't want to be paying that $7, they have the option for you to downgrade or upgrade inside the app, right? So right here you can downgrade or upgrade. You can just downgrade back to the free version, and then once you get a client and you need those pro features as well to work with your client, you can go ahead and upgrade again. I used to do that. I didn't tell you this, but you know what I mean. So that's totally up to you, or you can keep paying the monthly fee as well. But right now, if you're watching this video and the deal is still available on AppSumo, go ahead and grab the deal because it's a pretty sweet deal. If you look over here, you can see that this is a mature software. You can see the amount of people that give these 5-star reviews already, which is like 5 tacos, right? You can see over here, as of the day I'm making the video, 691 reviews, and you can see it's all 5 stars, right? Basically 5 tacos. I'm guessing that is 5-star. So this is up to you. This is what I use. I'm going to do like a quick overview of how everything works, how you can set it up, and how you can start using it. So before I go through all these settings, if you want to skip this section, you can go ahead and jump to the section that you want to see. I will leave a timestamp in the description box below. Let's say you want to see how I deal with contracts, you can go ahead and jump to the contract section. If you want to look at invoicing, you can go ahead and jump to the invoicing section. I'm just going to go through all the settings quickly so you guys can see how you can set up the software before we can start sending proposal, contract, or invoice or anything like that. So let's go through the settings first and then we can get started. Let me jump right into the software and then I'll show you. So just to make the tutorial a little bit faster for you guys, I've gone ahead and completed most of the settings already, but I'll still go through it to show you guys how this is done. If you want me to make a complete tutorial about this software, let me know in the comment section below, and then I'll create a separate tutorial dedicated to this software to show you guys exactly how every single thing works inside the software. But for now, I'm going to show you how you can set this up. You can see right here that I have my logo over here. And over here, the admin profile, I also have my profile here. So once you log into the program, the first thing you need to do is to click on settings. This is where you're going to do all the settings, right? You put your company name or your name, your email address. These are pretty much self-explanatory. And then over here, you put your logo. Scroll down here and choose your currency. Right here, I'm using the USD. And then you can choose your time zone, choose the date, choose the time format, and then choose your week start, your language, and then over here choose your logo again, and then click the update button right here. And then once you do that, you can go to the next settings, which is the chat settings. This is where you are going to decide whether you want to allow chat between customer and this is where you are going to decide whether you want to allow chat between you and your client, and also a chat between your client and your teammate. If you want that, you can select this and click update. Then if you want to add any custom fields, this is where you're going to add that. Click on this button right here, add the custom field that you want, and who do you want to add the custom field for? Maybe for your customer, for your invoice. So this is where you're going to add the custom field. You have to decide who you want to add the custom field for. This is all the options they have. You select that, give it a name. Is it required? Yes. And then you select the type over here and click submit. So that's that. And then if you want to set a custom webhook, this is where you're going to create that. You select the event over here and then add your webhook URL, click submit. And then custom domain, this is where you're going to set up a custom domain. You can see right here that I'm using custom domain, right? So in order to use the custom domain option, which is the white label option that I mentioned earlier, you have to set a CNAME record in your domain DNS settings. To do that, you can go ahead and follow this step right here. Click on this button and then this will take you to the step you need to follow. It's pretty simple to do. If not, you guys let me know. I can also cover a video on how to do this as well. I can show you guys a video, but I'm not going to be showing that in this video because it will make the video really long, and I don't want that for this video. And then here you can choose your favicon, you can choose your background image, and then you can choose whatever text that you want to show on that custom login page. This is where you're going to choose that as well. And if you want to add a custom CSS, they also have the option for you to add a custom CSS. Once you click your settings here, you can go ahead and click update. And then we also have the custom SAMTP. This is where you can set up your custom SAMTP. This is pretty much easy to do. In order to do this, you need to have an email address like this. You need to have email address that is set up with your hosting account or maybe your domain, wherever you are hosting your domain or your email, or wherever you are hosting your email. You can get all this information right there. You can get the mail port, you can get the mail host, you can also get the mail username, which is usually going to be your email address, and then the password that you use to log into that email address. And then put your name here, put your email here, and then you select the type of encryption that you are using. Most of the time it's going to be SSL, and then click update. That's how you can set this up as well. So you can see here that we have a lot of settings here, and they're all pretty much all the same. This is your email customizer. This is where you can change the email design, the background color, the footer, and all that. This is where you can change that. So just keep in mind that every setting that you make here is going to apply to all of this right here. If you want a custom settings for each of them, let's say for your contracts, if you want to have like a separate email template for that, you can come in here and click on contract and then go to customize. And here you can customize that email template for your client. And here you can use any of these variables that they have here, for example. So that's just one example. All these ones are pretty much the same. You can follow the same process to customize anything that you want to customize in here. And then we can go to the finance settings. So from here, this is where you can customize what your invoice is going to look like. You can select any of these templates that they have here for you. I'm currently using this one right here. And then here you can choose your invoice prefix. Let's say if you want this to say invoice. So we have an example over here what it's going to look like. And then if you want it to just say the abbreviation, it will look like this. So this is totally up to you. So once you finish over here, you can go ahead and scroll down, and then over here you can choose when the invoice is due. Maybe the invoice is due immediately. You can go ahead and set that in here, or maybe after 1 day or 2 days, and then you can put your tax number right here if you have one. And then if you want to show your tax number, you can go ahead and show that. If not, you can disable that like this. So this is where you can add all your tax rate based on where you are located, the country where you are located. You can go ahead and add all your tax rates in here. You can see that this one, I'm currently using GST as an example. You can add a new one here, add the percentage, and then click on save. And then that will show right here. And then you can also remove that if you want by clicking on the remove button right here. And then at the bottom here, this is where you're going to enter your invoice footer. And then over here, you also have the theme color. You can go ahead and change that color from here if you want. Once you finish the settings, you can go ahead and click the update button right here. And then for the GDPR, this is where you can cover all your GDPR stuff. They have a lot of options here for you to add the custom ones as well. If you want, you can add a new one here as well if you want. So you can go ahead and play around with that. And then the integrations, this is all the integrations that they have. You can integrate to pretty much anything that they have over here. If you do like international payment like I do, you can use Wise to do that inside the same app. You can pay your employees or maybe pay the contractors that you hired for the project or something like that. This is where you can do that. And then if you want your client to be added to your MailChimp account, you can also connect that as well. So you have all these options right here that you can connect. All you have to do is to click on the integrate button right here. Once you click on that, it will take you through the process to log in and integrate to that. And then the next one here is the leave settings. If you are doing leaves for your employee, this is where you can set that up. And then we also have the notification settings. So this is where you can decide the email notifications, Slack notifications, and also push notifications as well. If you want to turn on any push notification on your computer, this is where you can do that as well. And then you can click on the setting button here to go back to settings. And then this one right here is very important. This is the client portal, right? This is where we are going to set the admin portal, what they will have access to, right? This is the admin, like here I'm the administrator. And then the team members, this is what they're going to have access to once you invite them to this program. If you scroll down here, you can see that I didn't give access to everything. I gave access to the ones that I feel like they need access to. And then the ones that they don't need access to, you don't need to give access to that. The same thing applies to your client. This is where you decide what your client is going to see. And then inside here, there's no save button. Any changes that you make here is going to automatically start saving over here immediately. So once you finish here, you can go ahead and click on the setting tab over here to go back to settings. And then we have the profile settings, which is for this profile right here. And then we have the payment gateway. This is where you're going to decide the type of payment that you're going to accept. If you're going to accept paper, you can go ahead and grab your paper API and then put it right here. I have another video showing you how to get your paper client ID and your paper secret as well. I'm going to leave that video somewhere in the description box below. You can go ahead and click on it. So the same thing applies to Stripe. I also have another video showing you how to do that as well. I will also leave that video below as well. And then if you use RazorPay, you can go ahead and grab the key as well. And then if you use Molly, you can also do the same thing as well. And then they also have an offline payment method. If you want your client to pay with checks, I don't know why you want to do that, but if you want them to pay with checks and stuff like that, you have the option right here. You can go ahead and add the type of payment method that you want them to use. And then they will be able to see it and use that payment method to pay you as well. So that's what you have here for payment. Let's go back to settings. And again, like I said, I'm not going to be going through all the settings in this video because it will make the video really long. So you can go through the remaining settings here by yourself. It's pretty much self-explanatory. This is payroll settings. If you have employees, this is where you're going to set up all those payroll stuff. You can also do payroll inside the software, which is how good this is. So you don't have to pay for QuickBooks or any other accounting software that you use out there. You can just do your payroll, everything inside here. You can add all your deductions, your tax lab, your groups and payment gateways. You can add all of that in here and do everything from right inside one software. And then we have the role and permissions. You can go in here and set up your roles and permissions for clients and also for your employees as well. Right here, you can see that I have 2 employees. If you click on permissions, you can give them permission right here, what you want them to see and what you don't want them to see. And here we have the storage option. You remember I said earlier that you don't have to worry too much about the storage because they give you the storage option right here. So if you want to use their own storage, this is when you are going to worry about how much storage you are getting. You can use the Amazon Web Services if that is something that you use. The AWS storage, you can use that. And then if you have Google Drive, you can use that as well. Or if you have Dropbox, you can use that as well. But if not, you can go ahead and use the Agile storage, which is the default one based on the plan that you purchase. This is the amount of storage you are going to get. And then here you have the theme settings. This is where you are going to customize the color of your software. Inside here, you can see that we have blue. This is where you can change that. You can change that color to a different color. You can also change for your client panel as well. This is where you're going to customize it. You can add a custom CSS as well. And then here we have the ticket settings. If you are issuing tickets, something like that, this is where you're going to set all of that up. You have ticket agent, you have ticket type, you have ticket channel, and you have reply template. Let's go back to settings. And then the last setting that we have here is the tax setting, which is pretty much simple. If you want the teammates to be able to create a tax, this is where you are going to set that up. If not, you can go ahead and disable this. Then you'll be the only one, which you are the admin, you'll be the only one creating the tax. You can create a task and then assign someone to that particular task if you want. This is where you're going to set that up. So now that we've gone through all the settings, let's go ahead and get started with the contract. Let me show you guys how you can do the contract. Before we send a contract or issue an invoice, we have to set up an account for that particular client we're trying to work with. So to do that, we'll go over here to where we have the CRM. You can click on the accounts. Before we create a contact, which is going to be customer, we need to add an account. So which account are we going to be working from? So right now I have the WPLifestyle account right here. So that is the account we're going to be working from. I went ahead and created this just to make this a little faster. To create an account, all you need to do is to click on this button right here, the plus button over here, and then go ahead and fill in the account information. And once you finish, you can go ahead and click on save over here. So now that we have an account in there, the next thing we need to do is to create a client. So to create a client, we're going to add a contact. So contact is basically the client that we're working with. So if you go over here on contacts, you can see that I already created a test client. But to add a new client, basically the contacts, all you have to do is to click on the plus sign right here and then go ahead and fill the information. This is where you're going to select the account we're working with, right? That's where we created the account earlier. You select the WPLifestyle account and then what type of contact are you creating? So we're creating one for prospect, client, or lead. In this case, we're creating one for client. We'll select that. And then you put the client name, last name. You don't need to put the password because your client will get the option to create a password once you invite them for this. So actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and create this account so you guys can see how it works. So let me go ahead right now and put an email address here. So we'll call this client John Doe. So you know this is the client that we're currently working with. And then I'll put the email address here, no password, and then here we can put the address for the client. So let's say 6000 WP Avenue. Okay, this is just an example. This is not a real address. And then over here we put postal code, we put just random numbers. Okay, so that's our postal code. And then the country we choose, let's do Canada. So basically this is asking you the type of address we are creating. Is this a home office or office address? In this case I'll say office. And then if you have another address for the client, this is where you can add the other address as well. So here we are going to choose an agent. Let's say for example you have multiple people working with you. They are going to be the agent. In this case you're not going to have anyone here if you haven't created an agent, but I have myself here, which I'm the one that logged in, so you're going to see yourself. You can select that and then you can put your title here. Are you the project manager? Are you the designer? Are you the website designer? Are you the copywriter? So whatever it is that your role is in that project, this is what you're going to put here. So I'll put designer, for example, I don't know. And then you can put your contact phone number if you want. And then put all this information here if you want. I don't know why. You can put your Facebook, Twitter, your LinkedIn, and your Skype if you have that. I don't know if people still use Skype. Do you guys still use Skype? Let me know in the comment section below. I don't know. I don't use Skype anymore. And then you can put the tax information here if you have one. You can also add a tag to this contact if you want. You can also add a note as well. Maybe you want to leave a note, you can add that. And then here you can choose a profile picture if you want as well. And then over here, let's say you don't have any agent, you can always click here to add a new sales agent. Once you click here, you are going to add all the information and then click on the submit button. So before I go ahead and save this, you can see that we have a little option right here to send this invite right away. So if you want to invite the client right away, you can go ahead and select this. Once you save it, it's going to send that email to your client right away so that your client can receive the email. So go ahead and decide whether you want to send it right away or you want to send it later. But for this tutorial, I'm going to send it later so I can show you guys how you can send this later. So let's go ahead and save this. Okay, so now that we have that saved, if we go back here and click on contacts, you can see the contact that we created over here, which is the John Doe. If you go here and click on this little dot right here, we have the option to convert this to prospect and also to invite the client as well. But before we do that, let's go ahead and grade the contract and all that stuff that we need so that they will be ready, so that once we invite the client, once they log into the account, they will be able to see the contract, they will be ready to sign or maybe pay for the invoice or something like that. So let's go ahead and grade the contract, then we can go ahead and invite the client. So to create a contract, all you have to do is to go over here to contracts. You can see that we have contracts over here. Click on that and then you can click on contract types. This is where you're going to add the type of contract you're creating. So you can see here that I already created one called website development. You can go ahead and create any one that you want. Click on this plus icon right here and then go ahead and give it a name and click on save. That's pretty much it. It's that easy. So as much as I like this software and all the features it has to offer, I would really love to see like a UI change or something like that, because this UI right here is not really good. I'm not feeling it. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if you like the UI. I do like that they have this option right here to switch from night mode to this mode and then you can go back to night mode. I do like that. I like the night mode option. But let's go ahead and continue what we're doing right here. So we have the contract type already. Let's go to contracts right here. You can see here that I created a contract already that is signed. You can see that that one is signed already. You can view this contract if you want. If you click on view, you can see the contract right here. So before we do that, right here you can see that we have contract template. You can come in here and choose your contract template. So I created this one already, and then right here you can see the marketplace. If you view the marketplace, you can see all the contracts that they have here for you. You can go to the next page. Let's say this one, for example, we want to create a web design contract. For example, you can go ahead and preview this, and then you can see what this contract is going to look like. And then if you like it, you can go ahead and download that contract by clicking on get this button right here. So you get this, it will go ahead and ask you, are you sure? You say yes, and then that contract is going to be added to your contract template right here, which is this one here. If I click on it, you can see that we have the contract template over here. You can click here and edit this template. So this is where you can edit this template to your liking. You can change the subject name, you can leave a note here, and then over here as well you can also change all this information right here, right? Let's say you want to delete this, you can go ahead and delete that. Control Z to undo, or Command Z. You have pretty much all the text options that you have in like Microsoft Word or maybe Google Sheet or stuff like that. So you can go ahead and edit this to your liking, and then delete things that you don't need. Let's say you don't need this section right here, you can go ahead and delete all this section. Maybe you don't need this section, you can go ahead and delete that. If you want to, you can go back to this contract killer website right here, the stuffandnonsense.co.uk. I'll leave the link in the description box below. You can go ahead and click on it and it will bring you to this page. If you don't know how to set up your contract, you can use this as an example, and then you can come here and copy some stuff or maybe take inspiration from here, and then you can go back and adjust your own contract. I would really recommend that you keep your contract simple and short, because you don't want to have like maybe 4 or 5 page contract. You don't want to scare away your client before you even start the project. So sometimes clients can be like, oh my god, what is this? They might be scared and be like, okay, I need a lawyer or something like that. Just explain to them that they don't need a lawyer or anything like that. Just keep it simple, make it easy to understand, so that once they read through it, maybe 1 page, I usually try to keep it under 1 page or maybe 1.5 page. So once they read through it, they see that there is nothing, there is just things that you guys already agreed on, because usually before you get a client, you do like a something discovery call or whatever it is that you do with the client. You meet with the client and then you guys have a chat, discuss all this stuff, had agreements and all that. So you want to put all those agreements in paper. That is basically what this means, so that they can sign it to show there's a mutual agreement between you and the clients. So that way you know that you are secured and your client is also secure. There won't be any type of issues in terms of payment, who is going to do what information that your client is going to bring, because sometimes client might think that you're responsible for everything. They might not give you the website content, they might not give you the logos or maybe the creatives that you need to complete the project. So this is something that you put on the contract. This is where you're going to decide, okay, who is responsible for what, when is the payment due, when is the project due, what is going to happen, are you allowed to use this website on your portfolio. This is where you're going to put all that information, and then it's going to be signed and sealed. So let me show you how you can actually send this to your client so that your client can sign it. So let's assume right here that we've gone ahead and we created this contract template and adjusted it exactly how we want it. So go ahead and click on the update button right here. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and create a contract. Let's go back to contract right here by clicking on the contract link here, or we can also go here and click on contract over here. So now that we're in here, let's go ahead and create a new contract. So now let's go ahead and select the client that we're creating the contract for. So in this case, we are creating this for John Doe. Select John Doe, and then here we are going to give the contract a name. We can call this one web design contract. So we have the web design contract as the name, and then we have the amount, whatever amount that you and the client agreed on that the client is going to pay you. So let's say for this project, the clients have agreed to pay $2,000. So we're going to put $2,000 right here. And then here, if you have multiple categories, let's say you're doing branding as well, you're doing web design, you're doing SEO, this is where you're going to put all the contract types, and then you're going to select the contract type that we're creating. So in this case, we're creating a website development contract. So we select this option and then select the start date of the project and then when the project is going to end. So let's say as of the day I'm recording this video, today is 12. So I'll select this day, and then maybe this project is going to be due by the end of the month. So I'll select the 30th of this month. And then if you have a note, you can go ahead and leave the note right here as well. And then over here, you can put the contract details. So this is how you can create the contract manually. But because we created a template before, we don't have to go through all of this. All you have to do is to go ahead and choose a template from here. You can see that we already have a template over here. So go ahead and choose that. So we select choose a template. We select this web design template that we have over here. So this is going to fill everything up for you right here. You can see this will fill every information up for you. So you have to go ahead and put the amount again. we put 2000, and then we still have the dates in here as well, so everything is still intact. All you have to do now is to scroll down here and click on save button right here. So now if we go back to contracts, you can see that we have 2 contracts here that is not signed. You can see that we have 2 contracts here that is not signed as well, right? So what we need to do now, before we send this contract, you can see we have the option to send the contract or to copy the link as well. So what you have to do now is to go ahead and invite your clients so they can see the contract or maybe the invoice or something like that. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to CRM right here and then click on contacts, and then here we have 2 clients, and John Doe is the one that we want to invite. So let's go ahead and invite John Doe. So we send the invite. So now that we send the invite, if we go back here to this email and refresh the page, now you can see that we have a new client portal invitation by WPLifestyle. So you go ahead and click on that. This is what it will look like, and then your client will go ahead and accept this. So once they click on this accept invite button right here, it will bring them to this page. This is where your client is going to choose his or her password. So go ahead and choose a password from here. So once you choose your password, go ahead and click on join, and this is going to bring your client to your business login. So what they're going to see here, it's your business URL. They won't even know that you're using the Agile app. You can see right here, you can see the URL. It said app.wplifestyle.com/login. So that's why I went through all the settings before. I showed you how to set all this up. So once you have everything set up, this is what your client is going to see. So let me go ahead and log in as a client so you guys can see the difference. So I've gone ahead and log in as a client here, and this is what your client is going to see, and this is what the dashboard is going to look like. If you compare that to your own dashboard as the admin or the business owner, you can see that you have a lot more information there. So what your client is going to see is exactly what you give them access to inside the client portal, right? So client portal is what you give them access to here. So if you look over here, you can see that your client cannot see the contract, so that means you have to send the contract to them. But let's assume that you give them access to the contract. Let's come back here and enable this contract option right here. So once you enable the contract option, let's go back here and refresh this client dashboard. Now you can see that we have contract option right here. If we click on that contract, you can see that your client will automatically see the contract that we created inside our own account. We did not send this contract yet, so they will automatically see it. If we send it, they will receive it in the email, but if we don't send it, they will still come in here and have access to that contract. That's really awesome. I love that feature. Let's say you created a contract and you forgot to send it, and your client is going to see it automatically, and then they can go ahead and sign that. So once we go back to the email, you can see that your customer will now have a new email telling them that a new contract has been created. So it's basically notifying them that a new contract has been created, so they can go back to their dashboard or client dashboard to see that contract, and it will automatically attach a PDF of that contract for them as well. They can go ahead and view the contract from here if they want. So right here, they will view the contract from here if they want as well, and then after that, they will have to log into their account over here to see that contract. So from here, your customer can go ahead from their dashboard, they can go ahead and view the contract. So once they view the contract, they can go down here and see, okay, this is the contract. Okay, that's the agreement that we had. That's cool. Once they see that, once they're ready to sign, all they have to do is to click on the sign button right here. If they want to download the contract, they can also go here and download it as well. So let's go ahead and sign the contract. So here, you put the name of the person signing the contract. I'll say John Doe because this is for John Doe, right? So John Doe is signing the contract, and then the email address, and then it will pick up the IP address automatically. And then here they can fill the signature. You can use your mouse to draw a signature. I don't know what your signature is like. And then if this signature is not good, you can go ahead and clear that. Just keep trying it until you get the perfect signature or something. And then let's say we agree that this is your signature. I don't know. This is not my signature though, so I'm just messing around. Let's say this is the signature, right? Then you can go ahead and click on the sign button right here. Okay, so now you can see that it's signed. And then now as the service provider, you're going to receive a new email or a new notification telling you that the client have signed the contract. So right here on this notification bar right here, you can see that we have this yellow dot right here. So if you click on it, you can see right here that a new contract has been signed 11 minutes ago, which is not entirely true. I don't think it's up to 11 minutes, but if you click on that, it will give you more details about the notification. And then if we go back here to contract and click on contracts, you can see that the contract has been signed already, and then the client can log in back to their account and then refresh the page. Once you refresh the page, you can see that the contract has been signed as well. So that's how I send contract to my clients, and that's how they sign it. Everything happens inside this Agile project management. That's why I love this Agile project management. And then the next step is invoicing. Obviously, invoicing is very important. Everybody wants to get paid. You want to get paid. You're not going to do work for free, that's for sure. So Everyone wants to get paid for the work they are doing. So now that your clients have signed the contract, you can go ahead and send the invoice to them because they basically agreed to the price already. So it's going to be easier for them to just pay the invoice. So what you have to do is to log back into your account and then go ahead and create an invoice for your client. So to do that, once you are inside the app right here, go to finance, and then from here select invoice, and this is how you send estimates as well. This is where you are going to do the same thing. The process is pretty much the same, so we're going to cover the invoice process. So you come here, you select invoices. You can see here that we don't have any invoice right here, so all you have to do is to click on the plus icon here to create an invoice. So now before we create the invoice, there's one more thing we need to do. So we're going to create a project, which is the project that we're going to be invoicing. So we already sent the contract to the customer. So what we have to do now is to create a project. So to create a project, let's go here and click on projects. And then over here, we already have one project right here. So let's go ahead and add a new one so you guys can see how you can create a project. So go ahead and give your project a name. So for this one, I call this one Web Design John Doe in brackets. So we know that this is a web design project and this is for John Doe. And then we're going to select the project category, and then you have different options right here. So you can add a new category from here. I created 3 already, so I will select the WordPress website design, and then which client are we creating this for? We select John Doe, and then can client view tags of this project? If you want client to be able to see the tags of the project, you can select that option from here. And then if you want to send the tags notification to client, you can also select that from here as well. And then if you want your client to view and participate in the discussions, you can go ahead and add them there as well. So once you select the options that you want right here, you can put the start date. Let's say the start date is tomorrow. We're going to start on this project tomorrow, and then the deadline for this project will be like the end of the month. We select that, and then if the project does not have any deadline, you can go ahead and select the work without deadline option, and then here you can put the project summary. Go ahead and fill out the information about the project so that the teams you are going to add on the project, they will know what is going on with the project. What project is this? This is where you add the information. So we added sample summary there as the project summary, and then we have the note. This is where you add the note, and then the budget here is 2,000. We have the project for 2,000, and we're going to choose the currency, which is USD, and then we have the hours allocated to this. If we have any hours allocated to this, you can go ahead and put that hours in here. And then the project status, this is where we're going to change it. If the project is finished or not started, this is where you're going to put that. So right now the project is not started because it's starting tomorrow, so we're going to say not started. And then if the project is starting today, you can also put in progress. You can put this option, but for now let me leave this in progress. And then if you want to upload a file to that project, this is where you're going to add that by clicking on the button right here. So now let's go ahead and click save changes. So now we have a new project. You can go ahead and notify clients about the project, or you can do any of these that we have here. We have all these options right here. You can edit, you can clone, you can view project details. So you can complete any of these tasks that we have here if you want. And then if the client go back here and refresh their page and then go to projects, so right here they will be able to see the project. If you don't want them to see it, don't give them access to it. That's pretty much fine. Now let's go ahead and create an invoice. So let's go to finance and then go to invoices. So if you go to finance here, you can see that we have estimates here as well. So estimates are pretty much the same as invoice. So if you're someone that sends estimates, you can go ahead and do the same thing. Estimates and invoice are pretty much the same process. You can go ahead and do that. If you click on estimates, you can see it's pretty much the same. You can click here to add a new estimate like this. The same goes with invoicing, but in this tutorial we're focusing on invoicing. So let's go ahead and add a new invoice, and then we're going to give the invoice a number, and then we choose the project. So it's going to be this project, and then the company name, everything is there, the currency is there, the invoice date is there as well. You can go ahead and select the invoice date and the due date. Maybe the invoice is due today or tomorrow, or maybe right away. You can go ahead and select the date. I will select tomorrow. And then you can also use this software to offer subscriptions as well. Let's say you are doing something like website maintenance that your clients have to pay monthly or yearly. This is where you are going to select yes, and then select the frequency, select the billing interval and the cycle as well. But for this one, it's just a one-time fee because it's a web design project, so we're going to say no. Over here you can see that they have products. If you want, you can grade these services that you offer offer as a product, and then once you come here you can just choose from product. You can select that like this, and that is going to automatically add that for you as a product. You can add all your services as a product, maybe web design and all that stuff, but I don't do that. You can also fill everything from here, so we'll call this one website design, and then we can give it description if we want. Maybe we leave this on 1 as well, and then the tax, you can add a new tax rate from here, or you can just click right here to select the one you created before. So I have this GST, I'll select that, and then the unit price, you can see that we put the unit price at 1, which is not true, so we're going to change that to 2000 like this. So the unit price is 2000, and then the 12% is $240, and then they're going to be paying the total of $240. And then right here, if you have a shipping address, you can put that in here, but in this case we don't need that. And then over here on the terms, you can say thanks for your business, please process this invoice within the due date. And then over here, if you want to use a different logo on the invoice, this is where you select that as well. So here we have two options. We can send this invoice to the client as we are saving it, or we can just save it and then send it later. So for now, let's go ahead and save and send. So now we have the invoice. Your client can go ahead and pay for that, or maybe if they send the payment to you, you want to add the payment, you can come in here and add the payment, or you can send the invoice from here, and you can also copy the payment link from here as well, or you can send a payment reminder from here as well, or add a credit note. So you can do all this stuff that you have in here. If you go back here to the email and refresh the page, so right here you can see that when the client signed the contract, you can see that we also send an automated email saying thank you for signing the contract, something like that, which is pretty nice. I didn't even know that they sent that email. And then over here we have the new invoice. You can see the new invoice that we have right here, and don't worry about these colors right here, because you can actually change these colors in the settings tab. I showed you guys earlier in the beginning of the video. And then this is the invoice. If you click on it, you can see what the invoice looks like. This is from WPLifestyle. We are billing John Doe, and this is all the information. And then if you ask me, I think this is a pretty nice looking invoice. So now once your customer logs into the account, they will be able to see this invoice. If they go over here and click on invoices, they will be able to see this invoice, and once they click on this link to open the invoice, and then you're going to get a notification right here telling you that your customer has viewed your invoice. You can see right here, if you click on it, you can see invoice viewed. This is going to let you know that your customer viewed the invoice. So now you know that your customer is looking at the invoice. So I kind of like that feature as well. So you know, okay, have the customer seen the invoice or not? I kind of like that feature as well. And then if they go back here, once they open that invoice, you can see right here that it says unpaid. And right here you can see that they have two payment options. They can pay online, or maybe they can pay offline. And this is because we offer that offline payment. And then if they want to pay with check, we have the address where they have to mail this check to. And if they want to pay online, they have the option to pay with PayPal or credit card. So they have that two options right here. I do like the fact that you get the two options, because sometimes your client might be a little bit skeptical to give their credit card details to somebody or to enter it on your website. They're not sure if it's secured or something like that. But with PayPal, they can always go and use PayPal to make their payment if they're already using PayPal, because PayPal is already popular for payment like this and stuff like that. So they can go ahead and do that. So they have that option right here. So once they make the payment, let me go ahead and select the offline payment right here. So once they make the payment, it's going to reflect on your end. So because this is a live payment, I'm not actually going to be able to make the payment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and log into my account and add the payment for them. So let's assume that they already make the payment. And also keep in mind that this is based on the agreement that you have with your client. If your client is going to pay everything upfront, or maybe they will pay a deposit, maybe the total amount is 4,000 and they are paying a deposit of 2,000. Maybe the total amount is 2,000 and they're paying a deposit of 1,000. In that case, this invoice should be like 1,000, because I used to collect 50% deposit before I even start the project. It actually helps you to see if the customer is serious, and you don't want the customer to back out after you're already halfway through the project. You don't want to waste your time, and you don't want to waste the client time at the same time. So make sure you collect a deposit. Maybe on the invoice you will leave a note, something like this. Let's go to the invoice and edit. So you can come here and leave a note like this. You can see this is just a 50% deposit, and the balance is due once the project is complete, so that everybody is on the same page. The client will know, okay, they are paying for the deposit, and then they will pay that, and then once the project is complete, you can go ahead and issue another invoice to them so that they can pay the balance of the project as well, maybe before you deliver the project, based on what the agreement is. So now you can see that the invoice still says unpaid. Let's say the client sent me a check and then I received the check. Now let me go ahead and apply the payment. So what you have to do is to go here and and then add a payment, and then this is the amount that they paid, and then you can select payment method. So they paid check. Here we can select the payment method, how they paid. Maybe they paid check, we can go here and add a check. So that's the payment method. We go here and select that, and then from here you can go ahead and enter that payment. So once you select check, and here you can go ahead and enter the transaction ID. So let's say the ID is something like 0110000, whatever that is. Now if I go back here to payments, you can see that we have one complete payment here. And then for the client, if the client go back here to invoices, now you can see that the invoice status will change to paid. And then of course you can always come in here and delete this payment because this is not a real payment, so I can go ahead and delete this. So you want to make sure that you delete this if you do like any example, so it doesn't mess up your accounting and stuff like that. So that's pretty much how I deal with client invoicing and payment. The next thing we're going to talk about is obtaining the information from client, what you're going to use based on the agreement, the content, the logos, the creative, everything you're going to need to complete the project. Now we need to get that information from client, and you don't want to be sending email back and forth. You don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is inside the app, we're going to create a form, and then we're going to use the form to collect all this information as well. I have two ways of doing this. Is either I create a form and then ask the client to fill the form up. So by the time they fill the entire form, you have gotten all the information that you need. Sometimes if I'm working with a small client, let's say a friend or something like that, instead of getting them to fill all this form, because I already have the form, is a huge form and I use the same form over and over again. So instead of getting them to fill that, I'll just send them a message inside this software so they can reply to that message with the information I'm requesting. Let me show you how you do that. So what you have to do now is we'll go to the project we're working on. So you will create a project for them. We already have one for John Doe. So what we have to do here is to go ahead and click on the project link to open that project. So inside this project, you can see all the information about the project. You can see all the members on the project. I'm the only one right now. You can see the milestones. You can see the tax. You can also see the tax board. You can see the files. We don't have any files here yet. You can see timesheet. So this is where you see all the information, everything about the project. You can create a tax. Maybe somebody have to redesign the logo or do something. You can create a tax and then you can assign that to somebody. If you have teams working with you, let's say you have so many people working on the same project, I can create a tax and give the tax a title, give it a description, and then I'll put a date, start date, and also put a due date when I want the tax to be done. And then I will assign this to somebody. In this case, it's only me. I will select the Steven, and then I'll choose the priority of the tax. If this is high, average, or low, I will choose high or whichever one you want to go with, and then save that. And then once you save that, the person that the tax is assigned to will get a notification that the tax has been assigned to them, and then they can go ahead and take care of that tax. So that's how you do that. But if you want to get an information from a client, you can start a discussion, and then the client can participate in that discussion. That way they can give the information you are looking for. So this is one way of doing it. To start a discussion, you need to add a discussion category. Maybe right here I have company information. Maybe I can add website content. So I've gone ahead and added the discussion category, so I can go ahead and start a new discussion, and then I'll give it a title. I'll be like, please provide content for the about page. Hi John, can you please give more information for the about page, blah blah blah. So whatever you want to say, and then go ahead and click on save. So now that we added the discussion, the next thing we're going to do, if we go back here to the client portal and refresh the page and go to project, you can see here for this client we have one project. If we open that project as a client, now you can see that we have a discussion tab here. If you click on it, you can see the discussion that we have over here. So once they click on the reply tab, they can go ahead and copy and paste the information you are looking for. Or maybe, let's say for example, this is the information you are looking for. They copy it, and then if they come in here and paste it, if you go back here and go to discussion and select the website content discussion that we are discussing right here, and then view that website content. Once you view it, you can see that John replied. You can then copy this information for whatever you need it for. So this is one way you can get that information from your clients. And then another way is using the form option. So right here they have forms. I've gone ahead and created this form. So they have the embed code right here. So the embed code will allow you to embed this form on your website, so people can fill it up on your website, and then the submission will come right here. You can go ahead and add a new form by clicking on this this plus icon right here, and this is pretty much a form builder. You can go ahead and drag whatever you want, like the header, and put it right here, and then click on the pencil icon right here to give it a name, rename it and all that. And you can also add a custom CSS, and then here you can give your form a name, and here you can choose the form category, right? You can create a general form, you can create for client, you can also create for lead, you can also create one for tickets. So this one I'm going to create a general form so I can use it for pretty much everyone, right? And then after submission form, you can show the message right here by typing the message in here, or you can put a redirect, which is going to be a URL where the customer is going to go once they submit the form. So this is pretty much like your typical form builder. It's pretty flexible. You can use it and build pretty much any form that you want. I can show you the one that I already have here that I built already. So let's go back to forms. This is one that I have here already. So you can copy this and embed it on your website and use it anywhere you want, so that once someone fills that form on your website, you will get those submissions in here inside this software that you're using for your business. So what we can do now, we can edit this form. You can go here and edit the form and add more information. You can see the form that I built already. This is just an example form. And then if you want to view public form, you can click here. This is what the form will look like, and I think the reason why it's showing like this is because I'm using the dark mode. That's why the form is showing like this. If I change this to white mode again and refresh the form, so when I created the form, I created it for the white mode. So if you're creating the form for the dark mode, you have to make sure that the color and everything match the dark mode, so everything will work well, right? So if I change this back to dark mode, and then my form is going to look like this. So if you are building this for your dark mode, make sure that you customize the form, customize everything in here. So make sure you choose the right colors here. Right here, your form style, you choose the right colors so that it will match the dark mode once they're viewing the form. So now that we created the form, all you have to do if you want your client to fill this form up for the information that you need. So I have two sections of the form. You can add as many sections as you want. So they can put their business name, the email, the phone number, the address, the contact names. If they have multiple people in the business, they can put their names, and they can also put all their email addresses. Then they can put their preferred time zone. So you want to ask all these questions so you don't have to go and be asking one after the other. That's why I prefer to use the form. So that's why I prefer to use the form. The method that I showed you guys earlier, that method also works, but the problem with that is you have to ask everything over and over again. But that's also something you can use. Let's say you forgot to put something on the form. Now you realize that you need that information. You can also go and use that discussion method, or you can even send them an email. So there's so many options you can use to get that information. So here we have the website content. They can go ahead and upload the website content by clicking on this upload button right here. I also have these help sections right here. They can go ahead and put their marks over here, and it will give them more details about the information that I'm asking about. And they can also upload their logo and brand guide and all the creatives they have for the website and stuff like that. Once they fill this form and submit it, we got this successful message. So let's go back here and go to submissions. Okay, so we have the submission right here. This is where you can view the submission, right? So once you view the submission right here, you can see all the information that the customer provided. This is exactly how I go about collecting all the information that I need from the client. Once you have that information ready, you've collected all the information from client, and then you are ready to go. So now that you've collected all that information from your client and then you're ready to go, everything is there, you have everything you need to start the project, you can go ahead and start that project. And then what I do at this point is I go ahead and send the customer a welcome email. So that's my fourth step. So that fourth step, I will send the customer a welcome email. I know some people used to do this at the beginning, maybe before they start emailing the customer and all that. But I like to do this after the customer have already signed their contract, pay the deposit, and then send all this information to me, and then I will now send an email welcoming them to the business. Or maybe if they haven't paid the invoice, on that email as well, I'll just briefly, you know what I mean, I'll briefly mention, okay, I don't know if you missed my previous email, blah blah blah, please make the payment and all that, so we can get started with the project and all that. Just remind them nicely and friendly so that they know that they have to make that deposit before we can actually start working on the project. So once they make the payments, and then we can go ahead and start working on the project. So that's my first step. That's the welcome email that I'll send to them with all this information. And then the fifth and final step that I do is I will send them a second email, basically like a follow-up email. And what I call this step is setting objective and the expectations. So I will send an email, friendly email, just telling them how we operate, how we work, who is going to be working on what, and who is going to be taking care of what. So all that information is also going to be available inside the project management that we're working with. They're going to see who is working on what. If I have multiple people working on different stuff, I'm going to mention all that in the email, and I'm going to tell them, okay, this is who is working on this, I'm working on this, and then so person is working on this, and then this is the expectations. This is where you will have the opportunity to just briefly and friendly tell them that no midnight calls. You don't want client calling you in midnight. That's really annoying. Sometimes they call you at 1 a.m 2 a.m. Sometimes I understand because they're in a different time zone. They don't understand that it's really late where you are. But sometimes I also have clients that is in the same time zone with me. They're calling me at midnight, 1 a.m 2 a.m. even though sometimes I'm still working around that time, you know what I mean. But I don't want to receive any call from a client around that time. So this is where you set the boundaries, the expectations, and the accountability. Also let them know who to contact for what, when to contact, the best time to contact, and how long it's going to take you guys or you, whoever is responsible, to respond to that message. Whether it's okay to send an email or whether it's okay to send a WhatsApp chat or text messages, or maybe just start a discussion inside the project management. So this is where you're going to state everything. This is very, very important. If you don't do this, you're going to get your client calling you in the middle of night, sending you all these weird messages that you don't want to receive. But for me, since I started using this Agile project management system, I get the client to start a discussion inside the app, and then I'll tell him or her that once they start a discussion, within 24 hours, somebody is going to reply to that discussion. So it could be me or someone else that is working on the project with me. So that's how I do it. That way I don't get any weird text messages or calls in the middle of the night. I will recommend you do this as well, and make sure that you set that boundary and the expectations and all your business hours and stuff like that. So this is the 5 steps that I go through every time I'm setting up a new client for a web design project. Let me know what you guys onboarding process looks like. If it's similar to what I'm doing, let me know in the comment section below, and also let me know what you think about the final step, which is the expectation and setting boundaries and all that stuff. Let me know how you guys handle that, because I really want to know. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what you're doing. Just go ahead and smash that like button. So thank you guys once again, and I will see you in the next video.